You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you did what?
The day's over. Snapped off the derailleur. This is going to happen to you sooner or later. If you're like me, you're just waiting for an excuse to buy bike parts. This time I got my cable and bent up the derailleur pretty bad. So we're going to replace the 8-speed extended cassette setup with the NX SRAM 11-speed with the 1x setup. Now this thing looks pretty awesome. Compared to the other one, it's pretty gnarly. Everything's much bigger. All of your jockey wheels are much bigger. It does have a lock for the arm, which is nice when you're changing out your chain or taking your tire off. It makes it much easier. But the quality is great. The finish is great. I can't say anything bad about it from the unboxing. When you do the comparison, you can see it's huge difference. So now we're going to go with the cassette on the rear. Sunrace is not the best quality, but as far as cost, it's the best to me. Now the finish is awesome. I do like the red accents they have. I wish they had a blue one. They didn't have one at the time that would go with the scheme of my bike, but this is cool. So everything looks like it's put together correctly. There's no marring, there's no chafing, and all the sprockets look straight and true. I'm hoping this is going to last a good season or two, which I'm hoping. They do set up a list in here, like a little pamphlet that gives you the different types of sprockets and speeds they have, the different cassettes. Check it out whenever you can buy one. Now this little jake brake setup here, this right here is going to be what you have to have. This is for your derailleur. It goes in between your hanger and your derailleur. It gets an extension so you can go up in the higher gears that your bike wasn't set up for. This is a one-size-fits-all, so you may have to make a few adjustments, which you'll see here in a little bit. Now here's the actual shifter. The box was a little bit damaged, but luckily nothing inside was broken or bent. It looks good. I can't see anything wrong with it. Finish is great. I'm sure the fit's going to be just fine. Of course, you have all this stuff, which most of us just throw in the trash. You have to change out your chain. So when you're going into a higher gear ratio, the chain is actually more narrow. So you can't run a big fat chain or it won't go in between the gears. So you do have to change that out. And you can tell right here, it's actually a really skinny chain. Now we're going to have to put the hanger on. So we're going to dry fit everything because, like I said before, that other component is a one-size-fits-all. So I may have to make some adjustments to this hanger. It comes with the bolts, stainless steel. Put that in, and when you're putting this together, make sure you're very careful because all of that is aluminum that this is going into. You can strip it out. So no power tools. That's a big no-no. You will destroy it. Let's get that all tightened up, and then we're going to move on to this piece. Each time I've used this piece, I've had to make an adjustment to my derailleur hanger. It's just too long. It won't let it line up. So you can't get it in. Try and try, and you won't get in. So you have to just grind off the tip a little bit. I don't know the exact measurement. I just did a little and checked the fit until it worked, and I made sure I didn't go too much, just enough. So take your time. Make sure you don't grind too much off, and it'll work just fine. I've done this before. Now she'll fit just like a glove. Just slide it up, screw her in. I don't know all the torque specs on this stuff. I always use Loctite. I go back and put it on all of my bolts after I get everything dry fit, just so you don't have any problems with anything backing out. Be very careful. All this stuff, like I said, it's aluminum. You don't want to get it cross-threaded because then it's over. You have to buy a new one. Now I'm going to get this cassette off. This is pretty simple. Everybody's using one of these tools before by now. Just back it up and then pull all of the old cassette off. This gives you an opportunity to get in there, get it cleaned up, make sure there is no scarring on any of those cogs, because that's what keeps that back cassette on there. And you just use all-purpose Wolverine grease. Now you're going to ask me what that's for. Well, anytime you have metal-to-metal contact, you want to make sure that you have something in there, some type of grease. And it does two things. It keeps the wear down, but it also stops sand and muck from getting up in there because it can't get past that grease. So I just line up your cogs with the smallest cog there and line it up with the cassette and push it right on. And just repeat. Keep going. Make sure you get them all correct. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Once you get that all tightened down, you just simply put it back on the bike. Now when you're tightening this thing up, you want to tighten it up pretty good. I learned from experience of fails in the past. I didn't tighten it up enough and it did back up on me and cause an issue. I thought something was wrong with my bike. But just make sure you tighten it down really well. Then you put it back on the bike. You're going to want to make sure that you get this thing set up just right in this application, because now you're putting your chain on. You have to adjust for the length of your chain. I had to take off, I believe, 3 links to get this set up just right, but that's pretty common. Let's take the old shifter lever off. You want to pull the cable out, and sometimes it's a booger, but get that cable out of there, because you're going to use the old housing unless you jacked up your housing. You're just going to slide a new cable in it with the new shifter, and it's pretty straightforward. They do have a mechanism that you can purchase that will oil that cable system right there, that housing. I'm not that bougie, so I don't have one, but it works just fine for me. Put everything together, slide it back on, and just tighten it up. Don't worry about adjustments right now, because we still have to get everything else set up and get actual gear selectors where they're supposed to be. And it's pretty much that easy. There you go. Shifts all the way through the gears. I'm not going to go into setting everything up and all your limits, because that'd be a whole another 45-minute video. Thanks for tinkering with me today. Get out there and have fun.